Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode, but giving that a second chance might just change your mind.
Here we take that chance for you and let you know our opinion on if a show deserves more than just one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this time will be Bupkis.
But doesn't that just mean nothing?
Yeah, no, they don't get in-flight entertainment this time. We didn't feel up to doing it, but technically from our own self-mandated schedule, we need to release an episode. So this episode is just a bumper telling you there is no episode. And then we're going to let like an hour of silence follow this announcement.
Did we agree to that or was that your idea?
You're the one that told me we were reviewing Bupkis.
Yeah, but like the show on Peacock.
How am I supposed to review nothing?
To be fair, when I first suggested the show, you legitimately thought it wasn't a show.
Yeah, but I only thought that for like 3 seconds. But during those 3 seconds, my brain was like, fuck, okay, we gotta scramble to find something. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's a show called that. I saw an ad for it because my television gives me ads.
Yeah, it's actually Pete Davidson's new sitcom comedy show. It's vaguely like Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm in that it's a comedian writing and directing a show where it's based off real life events that's happened to them.
Yeah, but
dramatized.
It's not really autobiographical. It's just influenced by their life.
Yeah, it's based off real life experiences that we've had, but obviously fictionalized and dramatized for TV purposes. There's a bumper at the beginning of each of these episodes that is essentially a disclaimer that like no celebrities in the show are It also is like, this show is Bupkis, which...
Yeah, it's nothing. The show is nothing.
I don't know if Bupkis is like Hebrew.
It's Yiddish, I believe.
Yiddish, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I don't know, because like a lot of Yiddish words are also Germanic in origin.
Mm-hmm.
Like kaput, which is a Yiddish word, but it's also literally a German word that means the same thing.
Yeah, no, Bupkis should just be Yiddish, I believe.
Okay. And Bupkis literally just means nothing or empty or like...
So like every time I've heard something called Bupkis, it's like nothing but in a negative way that it's nothing.
Yeah, and this show is Bupkis in that it's in the negative way it's nothing.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Not to spoil our review, I legitimately love this show.
The show was quite good, and it has actors I enjoy as well, which is a positive always.
Yeah, including the star actor, Pete Davidson.
Honestly, Pete Davidson's a great actor. I don't know why people hate him so much. He is a good actor.
I feel like people hate Pete Davidson for the same reasons they hate Justin Bieber and Nickelback.
Because it's just fun to hate them?
Because they're Canadian.
That also makes sense. Is Pete Davidson Canadian, though?
No, he's from New York. No, the joke is that people hate Pete Davidson because they're popular and successful. Like, nobody actively dislikes Nickelback except for, like, the years of ingrained, like, culture that have made people dislike Nickelback.
Yeah, because one internet joke that everyone then just took as fact for some reason.
And, like, Justin Bieber got hate, but only because, like, he was a successful teen pop star and, like...
People became overly obsessed with him, so criticizing it became a thing that people would just do. Mm-hmm. Though I still don't think his early work's nearly as good as, like, the stuff that he himself has, like, made now.
But, like, also, he was literally a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the amount of hate he got was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. That's my thing with Pete Davidson. People hate him because he's popular. Because there's a large mass of people that like him, and people don't want to like the thing people like.
Yeah, like, my opinion on Pete Davidson's not very large. He's been in a few things that I like, and other than that, I don't know shit about him.
Apparently, he started off with, like, cameos on MTV stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, like, he did 4 episodes of Guy Code.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then, eventually, at the age of 20, being one of the youngest people ever, landed a permanent role on SNL.
Yeah, I knew he'd been on SNL. I'd seen a few SNL sketches that had him.
But, like, yeah, mostly I know him from, like, The Suicide Squad, King of Staten Island.
Yeah.
And his cameos in The Rookie, where he plays Nate Fillion's brother.
Yeah, exactly.
But this show stars Pete Davidson, and we should get into episode 1, which is entitled...
A magic moment.
Yeah, you just had to snipe that.
I did that just to bother you. Exactly.
I mean, you did it while I was talking even. Like
Exactly. Just to bother bother you. That's the type of episode we're going for today.
So episode 1 is a magic moment. Episode starts with Pete on a Oculus headset, just searching Google for himself.
Which you should never do. No matter your level of fame, never search yourself on the internet. It's never good.
If you're not famous, searching yourself on the internet can be a great way to determine how findable on the internet you are and how much more effort you need to put into
hiding yourself on the internet. Yeah, I guess. Or just don't use the internet.
But when you're famous, searching yourself is never going to turn up the stuff you want.
Yeah, I know.
Because every celebrity, no matter how beloved they are, has forums of people just hating on them, and oftentimes for what seems to be very legitimate reasons, but it's just because people focus on micro things,
very tiny
and
details that don't really matter.
Yeah, which is what happened to Justin Bieber,
let's
be honest. But it's wild how much I'm defending Bieber in this episode.
It is. You have taken a stance.
Well, God, I'm gonna digress so hard here. It's I've been recently catching a bunch of the old stuff that happened to Bieber as he was a teenager.
Okay.
And he was sexually harassed by TV talk show hosts and stuff.
Yeah, no,
all
everyone.
the time, just because he was
the young teenage heartthrob.
And that shit's fucked up, dude.
Yeah, no, being a young famous person is really fucked up.
We're so lucky he turned out way better than he did, because there's no reason why he didn't just become a complete menace to society.
Yeah, I would agree.
But yeah.
So Pete Davidson looks himself up, and he's just finding all kinds of articles that are just oh, here's everything wrong with Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson has butthole eyes. That is an article title that we see in this search. Do I know what that means? No. I assume it means they think his eyes look like buttholes.
I think they're saying his eyes are sphincter shaped.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, which is weird.
Yeah, very.
And then he's just well, that's not what I want, and decides, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to Pornhub.
And so he goes to Pornhub and finds a 3D video, and
I do have one thing to say real quick, sorry. So he's using a VR headset, right? And he's in fucking light mode on Google. Do you realize how much whiteness you're seeing at that point? You're just searing your eyes because it's all white except for the Google logo.
Nobody I've ever met is as allergic to light as you are.
No, I get that, but imagine a pure white screen right up against your fucking eye.
Also, does Google have an official dark mode?
I mean, it does on mobile at least.
I remember the days where you had to go to blackhole.com to get dark Google.
Yeah.
And that wasn't an official Google, it was a proxy.
Yeah, but no, he's just using white mode, and having used VR headsets and having a white screen pop up, especially if you go from a dark screen, I'm just saying it's painful.
But so he gets on Pornhub, pulls up a video, and he was sitting down but realizes, shit, if I'm gonna jack off to this, I need to go get the lotion, and that's over.
The camera pulls back from where he's sitting on the couch all the way back into the kitchen, and it's just sitting on the counter. He's
not the kitchen, his closet.
Oh yeah, and when you just hear him say fuck,
which saying closet is weird because it's not it has doors or anything. It's a giant walk-in U-shaped area. Yeah. But so he gets up with the headset on, walks over to the closet, pumps some lotion, and starts...
he stumbles over to it.
And starts jacking to this Pornhub video.
Meanwhile, upstairs, is his mom going through the mail. She finds a letter for him. It looks like she's going to set it aside, but then she hears the noise from downstairs, calls for him to see what's up, gets no reply, so she starts to head down there.
Yeah, she takes his laundry and the mail and starts heading downstairs. Meanwhile, this video that started off as a interview, a person interviewing for a position in POV porn.
I think they were interviewing for a job as a teacher.
Yeah, and but we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the job. Transitions into step sibling porn with also a guy just out. The best part is this guy outside the window staring into the room in this Pornhub video is not part of the 3D world of the Pornhub video. So it's just a still image that was it's just he's stuck there.
Pete Davidson knows, and he's just what are you doing? Get out of here! And then
makes eye contact.
I guess you're part of it now. And then he looks over to the other side, and it's just a bunch of stuffed animals and shit. And he's okay, we're getting freaky, but whatever.
And so he's really getting into it, and he's around the corner in the closet area.
Yeah.
And his mom comes down the steps and turns the corner just as he blows his load all over her chest and face.
Yeah.
So,
and he starts to take off the VR goggles because he's done with them. Makes eye contact with his mother, and he's just
And she turns around with the laundry and just is these could use another go.
Yeah.
And walks up the stairs. She's dinner will be done and blah, blah, blah. We then cut scenes from that to Pete coming out of the basement where... Okay, so need to clarify. Pete doesn't live with his mom, obviously, right? This is based off the actual Pete Davidson. Pete's mom and sister live with him because Pete Davidson is a highly successful comic and actor.
Yeah, he just lives in the basement because there's less light there, so it's better inherently.
I think it's probably...
Also, you get a lot less sound in a basement.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the basement's more like just because it's essentially a separate, like, residence, and...
It feels very separate from the rest of the house normally.
And, like, basements are more soundproof just naturally, so he can have his friends over and stuff, and, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he tries to, like, sneak out of the basement and out the door when his mom turns around from the kitchen, because the living room is pretty open concept. And she's just like, where are you going? Dinner's ready. You ask us to live with you, and then you're just never here. We need to spend some time together.
And he's like, yeah, I think we need some time apart, you know, just like...
Some time away from each other. You're not so face to face. And he's like, wait a minute, are you still wearing the shirt? She is still wearing the exact same shirt.
And she's like, well, yeah, but I'm gonna exercise later.
I'm gonna do some Peloton.
I don't want to dirty up another shirt. And he's like,
I'm gonna go, you change your shirt.
He isn't just like, you change your shirt. He like opens the door to leave, and then before he leaves, turns around and goes, change your shirt.
Yeah. And then we are in a different scene where Pete and this woman are sitting in the front seat of his car. They're just like in the parking lot of a fast food place, and he has apparently just finished telling her about all of this off camera, and she just finds it fucking hilarious, which honestly it kind of is. Obviously traumatizing for Pete Davidson, but a funny thing for most people to hear about.
And she's also like, and your mom literally just saw your cum face. He's like, I don't have a cum face. And she's like, you do.
Then he's like, what is it then?
And she's like, it looks like you're trying to hold back vomit while also solve an incredibly difficult calculus problem.
Yeah. And he's like, this isn't funny. And she's like, yeah it is. He's like, no, that is another core memory. I'm gonna have to add another therapist. It's gonna be a whole thing.
And then his grandfather tries to call him.
Yeah, and he just hangs up. Well, refuses the call.
Yeah, and she's like, dude, you need to talk to your grandpa. Like,
he's like, it's not a good time to be around my family anymore, okay?
So he heads home after...
No, because then we have her go, oh, yeah, that's just like you.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, what? And she's like, you're running. Things get tough with people you love, and you just run. You don't deal with your problems. He's like, what? No, I don't do that. That's definitely not me. She's like,
remind me how we broke up?
No, she's like, okay, fine. We'll stop talking about it. Hey, do you remember why we broke up? And he's like, oh, now you've made it awkward. I'm going to call you an Uber.
I think, like, the point is, like, he did that when they broke up. Like, he just was running away from a problem.
Yeah.
And she's like, see, it is what you do. So then he's driving home alone and listening to voicemails left by his grandfather, who's like, Pete, answer the phone. You stood us up for dinner? Where are you? You got me chasing you like a bitch.
Like a broad.
Like a broad.
It's Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci's not going to call someone a bitch, but he will call them a broad.
Joe Pesci would definitely call someone a bitch.
Yeah, no, you're
I can
not wrong.
Probably Google that and find it in like 15 seconds.
He definitely has. But no, it's his grandfather is played by Joe Pesci, so fucking great. Joe Pesci's an amazing actor.
This show has just a great cast.
Yeah. And so...
For instance, his mom is Eddie Falco, known for her role in The Sopranos.
And Nurse Jackie, which is the one I watched.
I've not watched either, but I'm aware of her existence.
And so we then have our next scene, which is Pete at the tattoo parlor, where he's just talking with his laser technician, like, about how he searched himself.
And she's like,
couldn't find anything good.
And then, she's like, yeah, but Hyperbeast called you the voice of a generation.
Yeah. Also, apparently he's getting a tattoo removed, but from the way they were talking, it's a tattoo that he's already gotten before, and then gotten removed and gotten again, and is now apparently getting removed again.
And she's like, you should stop, like...
You just can't keep doing this. It's not good for you.
He's like, yeah, but it feels good for me.
No, he doesn't say that. She hits him with the laser, and he's like, ow! And she goes, you liked it. It's like, yeah, I did.
So we go from that to a local diner where we meet Peter's grandfather for the first time, who is Joe LaRocca, played by Joe Pesci, like you said. Pete's still in pain from his tattoo removal.
Yeah, and his grandpa's just like, oh, did you get another one of those tattoos? And he's like, no, I'm actually getting them removed now. He's like, oh, I thought you would get another one. A ball here on this eyebrow, one over here, and then a dick just down your nose. He's like, do you think I'm a joke? And he's like, I mean, kinda.
Yeah, he basically says that Pete is a complete joke and will never amount to anything.
Kinda, yeah. And he's just like, look, I'm getting my tattoos removed because I want people to take me seriously. And I think if I look more serious, people will treat me that way. And then his grandpa's just like, no, if you want to be treated more seriously, you gotta stop being a fucking kid. But look at you, you're just a kid. That's all you're doing. You're just running around acting like a kid.
And then some guy comes up and is like, oh, hey, Pete, can I get a picture with you? And Pete's like, yeah, okay, sure. And
I mean, you're not wrong, but there's an important thing right before that.
Oh, yes, my bad. You're right. Yep.
So, first, in a call back to the just scene with the laser technician, Pete's like, well, Hyperbeast called me the voice of a generation. And his grandpa's like, I don't think that was supposed to be a compliment. And then he starts coughing, and he sets down his napkin, and it's red. And Pete's just like, is that blood? And his grandpa is just like, no, that's ketchup. But I am dying.
And then the guy comes up and is like, hey, can I get a picture with you? He hands his phone to Joe and is like, hey, old man, can you take a picture of us?
Yeah.
And Joe goes like, you have no manners. You could have come up and been like, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Well, like, could I get a picture? Da-da-da. But you just come up and insist that you're going to get a picture. You know what that gives you?
And just hand someone else your phone.
You know what that gets you? It gets you your phone and a root beer float and drops it into the root beer float he had ordered for Pete. And the guy's like, what? And Joe's like, get your phone and get.
Yeah.
And then he turns to Peter. He goes like, is this the generation you want to be a voice of?
And then Joe lights up a cigarette and Pete's just like, can you do that in here?
No, Joe's like, first he's like, should you be doing that? And his grandfather's like,
you want me to quit now?
I'm already dying. He's like, but can you do that in here?
And then we cut to them outside on a park bench, both smoking now.
Yeah.
And they kind of just talk, and Joe's just like, look, man, I'd love to spend more time with you, but, like, you've been around for, like, 2 months now, and we've spent, like, no time together. You just do whatever it is you're doing. And honestly, if there was one thing I could really do now, before I go, is I'd like to get to know you better.
And so Pete's like, yeah, boys' night out. Got it.
Yeah.
And so Pete promises, like, he's like, we'll send you out with a bang. And his grandfather's like, we could do, like, 2 bangs.
A couple of bangs.
Yeah. And so Pete kind of misinterprets that.
Mm-hmm.
We cut back to the basement.
And it's just Pete and his friends sitting on that giant sectional.
Pete, his friends, and his personal assistant.
Yeah, watching a show. And Pete's just like, look, my grandpa wants to do a guy's night out. I don't even know what you do on one of those. This is what we do. This is what the guys do. We just chill and watch stuff. This is his guy's night. I don't think this is what he has in mind.
Yeah, and Evan's like, hey, so you got a dermatologist appointment and a fitting at the same time tomorrow.
What do you want me to do about it?
Which one do you want to do? Like, and Pete just gives him a thumbs up.
Yeah, and then, so actually, he didn't mention the whole guys night out thing yet, because Evan does that.
And then Evan's like, you seem down, man. What's up?
And then Pete's like, my grandpa's dying. He wants to do a guys night out. This is our guys night. What is it? Like, what does he want to do? And then one of his friends is just like, you could get him laid. And they're all just like, oh, yeah, you could. And they're talking about what a great idea it is. And Evan in the background goes, this is going to be my problem, isn't it? And then we change scenes, and guess what? It is Evan's problem.
I feel so bad for Evan throughout this episode. He's like, the dude's just trying to do his job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Evan sets up a video call with a high profile, like...
escort.
Yeah, an escort. And he's the one on camera talking to this escort. He's like, it's not for me. It's for my friend's grandpa. And she's like, is your friend's grandpa in the room right now? He's like, no, it's really not for me. And Pete's like, I'm just going to handle this. And he comes around.
Well, no, she asks, like, what do you want then? He's like, like kind, gentle, soft, soothing, like loving kind of, and
then Pete's like, the fuck, man? And then comes around and he's like, I want to handle this. And she's like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
I've had high notoriety customers before.
He's like, no, it's really not for me. And she's like, yeah, I get you. I'll see you later then.
And he's like, no, it's for my Grandpa Joe. And she's like, okay. Does a wink, Grandpa Joe.
And she hangs up.
Yeah.
So then Pete is outside, I think an old folks home.
I don't know if it's an old folks home. It could also be a hotel. We're pretty close up on the entrance of the place, so I can't tell how tall it is.
It could just be an apartment building as well. But Joe comes out, and then
Pete's like, yeah, you ready? This is going to be a great guys' night out. Let's get going.
And then Joe's like, well, Uncle Roy's coming too.
And then Pete's just like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be just us. I don't like Roy. I don't want to be doing stuff with Roy. And his grandpa's like, there you go, being selfish again. I told you, like, the only way to really make yourself happy or make other people take you seriously, it's a thing we didn't mention that from the dining room.
Yeah, in the dining room.
You need to stop being so selfish and care about making someone else smile.
Yeah, he's like, you're always like running around acting like a kid. But if you really want to be happy, you gotta try making other people happy. Mm-hmm. And like that was the dining scene. And like so Pete kind of grumbles, but then Roy gets in the car. He's like, hey, Uncle Roy.
And Uncle Roy is played by Brad Garrett, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you don't recognize him off the top of your head, one of his most notable roles that I think people remember him for is playing Robert, the brother to Raymond, in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Another show where the comedian made a show based off of things in their life.
Yeah, and fucking, he's a fantastic actor. So.
Indeed he is. But before he gets in the car, Joe's actually like, we gotta let him come with us. His wife just died. And Pete's like, she died 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So Uncle Roy gets in the car. Also, Uncle Roy isn't Pete's uncle. He calls that out before Roy gets there.
Yeah.
But he's just a close family friend.
Yeah. So they end up at this very nice, like, bar, restaurant, it's hard to tell.
It's like the type of fancy bar restaurant that's in a hotel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're all just like, oh, this is a really nice place. And then up walks Donna, the escort. And she's like, oh, do you boys have a drink you could spare? Because they have, like, very nice champagne or wine. It's hard to tell which it is.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Joe is just like, of course, for a nice young lady. And then Pete's trying to get Roy to come over to sit by him so Donna can take the seat by Grandpa Joe.
Yeah. And so eventually Roy does move over, even though he's like, I don't want to. I'm comfortable here.
And Pete's just like, get the fuck over here so I can talk to you.
Yeah. And then Donna sits down and Roy and Peter are kind of talking for a second. And Joe's just like, she's a prostitute. No offense, but...
Yeah, and she's not upset by it at all. But Joe is offended that Pete got him a prostitute. And Roy starts laughing. He's like, you don't need to get Joe a prostitute. He was the biggest lady killer back in his day.
Yeah, and Donna's like, well, I see it's getting a little tense here. I'll be back in a minute. So she gets up and walks away. The three of them kind of hash it out, and we skip forward in the night. They're all having a good time. And this guy comes up and he's just like, hey, Pete, can I get a photo with you? And Joe goes, hey, it looks like we need a root beer. And everybody starts laughing.
Yeah.
And like,
the three of them start laughing and the guy looks really confused. And Grandpa Joe just says, it's an inside joke, and then kind of like waves the guy off.
Yeah. And Pete's like, I'm really happy that you're enjoying yourself tonight because spending $5,000 in the Sinatra suite. And Joe's like, for $5,000, Sinatra better be in that suite.
Yeah. And Donna's back with them now at this point, and they're all going to the Sinatra suite.
Yep. So they make their way up to the Sinatra suite.
It's a very nice room. They open it, and as they're looking around, Uncle Roy just goes, if these walls could talk... I forgot the line.
Me too.
If these walls would talk, they would.
It's cool. If you want to hear Brad Garrett deliver an excellent, hilarious line, watch the show. Don't go looking it up.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can see if I had it in my notes. I don't.
No, actually, that could be a thing. I do not. So
sad.
So
it's just a really great line delivered by him. Anyways, though, they're all just start having a really good time.
Joe starts playing the piano.
They're all singing, having fun, laughing,
taking
joking.
Drinks. And at some point, we skip forward a little bit, and Pete's just looking at Joe, and he's like, I'm really glad we had this chance to bond.
And Joe's just like, yeah, it's been a good night, been a good guy's night.
Yeah, and like Pete's getting really sentimental, and Joe's like, you're not getting sentimental on me again. And then Pete stops, and he looks around, and he's like, where's Roy and Donna? And Joe's like, they're in the bedroom. And Pete looks at Joe and goes, should we join them? What do you think they're doing?
And Joe's like, what do you think they're doing?
And Pete's like, we should get out of here.
Yeah, so they get ready to leave, and as they're headed out, they tell Roy to have fun, and then they hear a scream of pain, and they're like, wait, are you guys okay? And they go to open the doors, and after they get confirmation that no, they're not.
Well, yeah, because it's not just Roy screams. Like, Roy screams, and then Donna starts screaming, and
he's like, yeah, no, we're not okay.
So they end up barging into the room.
And apparently Uncle Roy has hip dysplasia, and his hip slipped out.
And Pete's like, should we call an ambulance? He's like, I'll be fine in a couple hours.
And during that time, Donna had been like patting his shoulder, being like, it's fine, it's happened before, you're not the first guy that this has happened with. But when he says hours, we see her face, and she looks petrified, like, fuck, that's gonna be horrible.
Yeah, it's fine, we're good, we don't have to like finish anything. And Joe pulls Pete aside, he's like, you gotta do it for him.
Well, no, Uncle Roy has the idea first.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry.
Uncle Roy's like, well, actually, if I could just get a little bit of, because Joe tells Pete to go help, like, at least get Roy off of Donna. Yeah. But when Pete grabs him and starts moving, Roy's like, well, actually, I mean, if you could just provide a little thrust, not a lot, I think we could be done here in a few minutes.
And Pete's like, no way.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. And Joe comes up and grabs him, and he's like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to my grandson. He's like, this is your chance to do something to make somebody else happy.
Put a smile on another person's face.
And Pete's like, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm just not doing that.
You do that. He's fine. He's like, no, he's my fucking friend.
And also you
know how weird that would be?
He's massive. I can't do it.
And then Pete's like, fine. He's like, Roy, is this really what you want?
Mm-hmm.
And Roy's like, yeah, no, it'd be great.
And he's like, Donna, is this okay with you? And she's like,
it's fine.
Yeah. And he goes, okay, let's go then. And Joe goes, well, no, I'm not staying.
Yeah. So Pete goes and starts just rocking Roy.
Well, Joe leaves.
Yeah. Back and forth.
And Roy's like, is this how you fuck? Speed it up.
Yeah, at a point he's like, hold on a moment. Let me talk to him.
Yeah, he's like, pull me out. Yeah. And like, so Pete pulls him to the side, and Roy's like,
is this how you fuck?
You need to put some effort in. And
Pete's just like, yeah, sure, I guess. And he's like, okay, put me back in.
So, puts him back in. Starts providing some effort, and then we cut away.
No, there's a great moment here where, as they're doing that, Pete's just like, this is awkward, but he slowly, like, warms up to the idea. Like, he's still obviously not comfortable with it, but he's more okay doing it.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Eric just goes, I can't believe I'm having sex with Pete Davidson. And he's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the dialogue in this scene is all excellent.
Yeah. No, like, literally, other than, I can't remember his name, it's annoying me. The actor who played Ray's father in Everybody Loves Raymond, Brad Garrett was the best, like, character in that show.
Yeah, by a mile.
In my opinion.
By a mile.
And yeah, he always got played as the sad sack, but like when you gave him actual funny lines and not just being, oh, I'm depressed because I have a horrible love life in this show, it was amazing.
Yeah, so we cut away from this and we're back at Pete's house. It's late at night. Joe's pulled a like Pyrex container of lasagna out of the fridge and they're
debating on warming it up, and they're both just like, I don't know how fucking long to warm it up for. We can just eat it cold. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good.
And then Amy Pete's mom comes downstairs and she's like, you guys got home late. And Pete's like, yeah, we had a guys' night, you know, it was good. And she's like, well, what'd you guys do?
All the while taking the lasagna from them, warming it up, because she's like, it's...
You got to heat it up. It's going to be even better now.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what'd you guys do? And Pete's like, you know, guys' night stuff. It was a good time.
Well, what'd you guys do? And he's like, it's fine. You know, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Roy had fun.
I don't know. And Joe goes, Roy had fun. And Pete's like, yeah, I don't know. And she goes, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah. And then somewhere in there, at some point, his mother makes like some vague statement that makes Pete uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like a reference to the fact that he came on her.
Yeah. Then Joe notices that and he's like, what's wrong?
What's going on here?
And Pete's like, it's fine. Nothing. It's all fine.
I don't know. He says, I don't know. And he's like,
so Joe's insisting on finding out what's wrong there. Amy, his mother, still insisting on what happened on guys' night. And Pete's just like, can't we just be a normal family? Can't we just have lies and just not tell each other things? Can't we keep secrets?
Can't we just keep secrets like a normal family?
And they're still just arguing and talking about it. He's like, okay, fine. I came on her the other morning, and I helped Roy fuck a prostitute.
And that's the end of the episode. It's like so good.
We zoom in on his face, end of episode.
It's so good. Justice, what are your takes on Bupkis?
It has a great cast. Like
episode 1, obviously.
Everyone in episode 1, fantastic actors. It's really amusing, and I quite enjoy how it's done. It's nothing innovative as far as like film work goes, but like the comedy is good. Definitely very crass humor.
Yeah.
But like still done in a very tongue-in-cheek manner that doesn't make it feel too over the top when it is done. And I think the deliveries of a lot of lines really help with that. And I would watch episode 2 after watching this.
Me too. I would also watch episode 2. This show is... I have trouble sometimes getting into sitcoms. There are sitcoms I love, namely like Community, Scrubs, and 30 Rock. Those are like my trifecta of bet. But like...
I'm a Frasier man.
Fair enough. The Frasier I've watched has been very good.
Yeah.
But this show is fun. All the actors are just excellent. Their deliveries are all perfect. Yeah, this episode is just a great first episode. Honestly, this is the type of show where this first episode kind of invalidates the concept of our podcast.
Yeah, that happens on occasion.
Because this first episode is so good, like you don't need us to tell you how good the second episode is. Because when you watch the first episode, you're just gonna be like, yeah, there's 7 more episodes left in this season. I wish there were 15. But onwards to episode 2, do as I say, not as I do. That's the title of the episode.
Yeah. And we start with Amy, Pete's mother, rushing around yelling at Pete to help his sister get ready and that they're going soon.
And this is a flashback. We're in like 2001 at this point.
Yep.
I don't know if it tells us we're in 2001 or if we pick that up by a context.
It's heavily implied. I don't think it tells us straight out at any point.
Oh, it's not just heavily implied. Like,
no, it's very obvious.
It is set in late 2001, probably like October?
No.
The end of September?
Middle of September.
Oh, yeah, middle of September 2001.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Arguably, bare minimum, September 18th. If we use the words to be exactly what I stated, it would be September 18th.
I think...
Or September 19th.
I think we could probably like push and say that it could be as late as like September 22nd.
That's why I said bare minimum September 18th.
Fair enough, yeah. So they're rushing around, getting ready, and like
they're in the car at this point, and Pete's asking his mom if it's okay that he got his chain.
Yeah.
Even though his sister didn't get anything, and his mom's just like, honestly, I don't think she cares. And we flash over to like his toddler little sister, and I think she has like a shoe in her hand.
Yeah.
And she's like, I also don't think she has any idea what's going on. It's fine, bub.
And Pete's like, yeah, we can tell her I'm her dad. He was like, and this show, like this is giving big like going to funeral vibes.
Yeah.
And like knowing that and knowing like what I know about Pete Davidson, his history, my immediate thought was, oh, this is going to deal with his dad dying in the 9/11 attack.
Yeah.
Because his dad was a firefighter who died going into a burning building to rescue people.
So we see them walking into a church, walking down the pews. A lot of people are wearing dark colors. And then as they sit down, we move the camera and they're at a fucking wedding.
Yes, they're at a wedding.
Honestly, actually a good swerve here in this. Like setting it up does like let us have that information, but we're not at a funeral or at a wedding. And I think it's a like really well done bit of sidestepping that.
Yeah, and like we're given like the context clues of like November 11th terrorist attack because like while they're driving to their destination, Amy says something about it being a tough day, but like they got to push through it, and because if they don't push through, the terrorists win. Oh, actually, it tells us the date in the show. Yep, the date is September 28th, 2001.
Okay.
Yep. Here Comes the Bride hits,
and Joe Pesci and his wife, Grandpa Joe and his wife, are walking down someone else, so simply Amy's sister, and standing at the altar is a man we soon learn is called Uncle Tommy. He's played by Bobby Cannavale. He's been in a bunch of shit.
He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
If you don't know Bobby Cannavale, you need to. Like, his work is exquisite.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. But so we get their wedding, which is officiated by Steve Buscemi. So that's just also great.
Oh, that's the most recent thing I've watched with Bobby. The Watcher, that show about...
Oh, yeah.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
He was also in Jumanji, too.
Mm-hmm. And he played the bad guy.
Yep. Boardwalk Empire, The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
He's apparently in the Marilyn Monroe docu-pic, Blonde. He's been in a whole bunch of really good things.
Yeah.
So
then we kind of cut to the reception, and we see a lot of, like, it's kind of intermittent shots of Amy and then Pete. So it's his mom talking to people. Everyone that talks to her is like, we're so sorry for your loss. He was a good man, blah, 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 blah. It sucks that this happened. And Pete's just kind of running around being a kid at a wedding. So in other words, a general annoyance to everyone else there.
And then Pete needs to use the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and Amy's been upset by all the people, like, wishing her condolences.
Yeah, like I just said.
It's like she's just trying to, like, get through it,
Yeah.
and sometimes the worst thing you can do to somebody, like, trying to deal with trauma is continually refresh that trauma.
Yeah, so Tommy decides, hey, it's cool, I'll take Pete to the bathroom.
As long as he doesn't gotta poop.
Yeah.
I'm not wiping his butt, essentially.
Yeah. So they go in, and young Pete does the thing a lot of young children do, well, young boys do, and just drops his pants all the way to the ground to use the urinal.
And Bobby's like, whoa, what you doing?
You don't gotta do that. Look, pull your pants back up, button them back up, take the zipper down, just reach in, pull it out, and you're good to go. And then, as he's washing his hands, we hear and Tommy's clearly just taking a bump of cocaine.
And then Tommy's like, look, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And that becomes the through line of this episode.
Mm-hmm. And we go from there back to the present, where Pete is at a, like, diner/bar, and he's meeting up with Tommy. So Tommy's pretty stressed here.
Yeah.
He's trying to get something to work on his phone, having a hard time seeing it, but he's apparently trying to communicate with the Russian bank he works for, which, I'm sorry, like, that just sounds like bad code for I work for the Russian mob.
I mean, Bobby Cannavale kind of is typecast as, like, either secret agent or mobster. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
Those are his typecasts.
But, like, it just feels like, oh, you work for the mob, don't
and
you?
He's having trouble seeing his phone, so he takes Pete's glasses and starts messing with his phone, and, like, Pete's like, what is it you do exactly? I don't remember. And he, like, explains that he works for this Russian bank, and Pete's like, oh, so how is that? And he's like, it can be stressful sometimes, but, like, I get to go to Russia at least once a year, and when I do, I listen to the Rocky 4 soundtrack, and it pumps me up.
Every time. Never fails to pump me up. And Pete's like, okay, I'm gonna get us another beer.
We cut back to the wedding reception, and Pete's cousin is telling him about how his father is taking him to see the new Jimmy Neutron movie.
And Pete's just like...
Which, that movie...
slapped.
Fucking banger.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's also got, like, 3 Aaron Carter songs on the soundtrack. Yeah. Fucking slaps.
I went to see that shit in theaters.
Rest in peace, Aaron Carter. Your music from your teenage years will be missed dearly.
Does a 4-year-old me remember 9/11? No. Does it remember seeing the Jimmy Neutron movie in theaters? So, actually, yeah, roughly around 9/11? Yes. Obviously, I remember the more important one.
That's such a dark joke. I distinctly remember 9/11. I was sick at a doctor's office when it happened.
I don't remember.
News was literally already on before the tower got hit.
I assume I was stuck in the doctor's office with you.
Probably.
So, in other words, as a young child, my brain just blanked everything because it was a doctor's office, a place of infinite boredom where attention goes to die.
100%. And so his cousin's like, my dad's taking me to see the new Jimmy Neutron movie this weekend. And Pete's like,
my dad's dead.
Which, honestly, so this getting into our real lives, our best friend passed away my best friend, one of your best friends?
Yeah, one of my best friends.
Passed away about 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just the, like, oh yeah, my best friend is dead card.
It's sometimes fun to pull out the so-and-so is dead card.
Like, I'm not doing it to be a dick whenever I do it. I'm doing it because it's funny to me.
Yeah.
Nobody I've ever pulled the card on except, like, other friends that are close to us also appreciates the humor of it. Like, when I pull it out on, like, a rando at work or something, they're like, oh. I'm like, no, it's funny. I
mean, I also pull out my stepdad is dead because without context of how much I did not enjoy the man, everyone else is like, oh no, that's, like, now I feel bad. I'm just like, nah, it's fucking hilarious.
Like,
you're fine, man. I made a great joke. You don't understand the joke, but it was superb. It was chef's kiss joke.
Which Pete Davidson's character in this is not doing that, but Pete Davidson, the writer, is doing that.
Yeah.
Like, the writer who wrote the joke is 100% doing that. The character in the show is not. But it still, like, sings to me on a level that...
But then Pete's cousin's like, yeah, I'm gonna miss Uncle Scott. My dad said he was a great man. And then Pete just kind of nods, and from there we cut to them taking wedding photos.
And Peter is essentially just imitating how Uncle Bobby showed him how to pee out of his zipper while they're trying to take photos, so he keeps sticking his finger.
And sticking it through the zipper.
Like, so it looks like a penis.
Yep. And his uncle's just like, look, kid, we'll do a silly photo in a moment, but let's try to do a serious one. And Pete's like, okay.
And then immediately does it again.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is also like another like layer of funny. Like,
yeah, that is something the kid's gonna do. You're gonna tell them something to be like, oh, it's gonna be hilarious to agree to this, and then not do it.
But then after that, I'll 100% do it.
Yeah.
But like at that point, Bobby's just like, fuck it. We're just gonna get funny pictures then.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
And then they all step aside, and Amy just pulls him over, and she's like, why are you doing this? Stop. We're gonna have to look at these photos for a very long time.
And then their priest intervenes. His name's
Steve Buscemi. I don't care what his...
Father Mac.
I do not care what his television show name is. He is Father Buscemi, and that makes it better.
And Father Mac's like, look, your father's a hero, kid.
Well,
you gotta respect that.
He says to Amy, don't worry, I've got this. Drags him off to a table, and then it's just like talking about his father to him.
And he's like, your father is going to heaven, and you gotta respect him and like honor him. You can't be doing that by doing the stuff you're doing. And Pete's just like,
No. The important part here is, as they're talking...
I was getting there.
Okay. Yeah, so
you can
Pete's
take
like
it, though.
saying, But as they're talking, he's like, yeah, but you know, like, your father died on the 11th. 11 times 3 is 33.
Your father died when he was 33. Jesus died when he was 33.
33. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Your father is Jesus incarnate.
And he's here right now. He's here in this room, and he's slapping the table like every time he thinks he's made a point.
Because the Holy Spirit's always with us, and your father...
Yeah. Like when he says 11 times 3 is 33, he slaps the table. He says 33, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, like slaps the table. He's getting very almost big tent revival Christian energy going on here for a Catholic priest.
100%. And he's like, your father was a tall man, right? And then he looks up and he's like, yeah, I see him here with us right now.
Thank you so much for your sacrifice. You were a great man. He's like, tell your father thank you. Say it to the room. He's here right now. He can hear you.
And Pete's starting to like believe him, but he's like,
I don't know if he's believing him or just like
fair enough,
playing along with it.
And Mac then goes, and we can't let what your father did go in vain. We can't let those terrorists win.
Those Talibanians.
Those dirty Talibanians is what he says. Yeah.
Because he calls them Talibanians, because my brain went, oh yeah, people didn't know what to call the Taliban then. They just thought it was like an ethnicity. People are weird.
But yeah, this whole scene is just Steve Buscemi getting to Steve Buscemi it up.
And then we go back to the present. Uncle Tommy's talking to Pete. He's like, yeah, my daughter's soccer team made it to the semifinals.
Should make it to state next year.
Yeah, the season's ending on Saturday. And he's like, you know, I love my daughter, but like, great kid, but... And
he's like...
It comes across very heavily like he's like not a fan of soccer.
Well, like, Pete's like, what do you mean? He's like, you'll get it when you're older. And Pete's like, what's that supposed to mean? He's like,
look, me and Mary we're having some problems. And Pete's like, are you going to get a divorce? He's like, no, we're not getting a divorce. I'm just saying we're having some problems. No, I don't know what's going on.
No, we're not getting a divorce. We're Catholics and we live on Long Island.
We live on Staten Island.
Yeah, on Staten Island.
It's Staten Island. And he's like, I'm not saying we're getting a divorce. I'm just saying we're having some problems. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
And eventually...
That's all I'm saying. I don't know what's going on.
Pete keeps trying to like get more out of him. And Bobby's like, look, can you just go get another beer?
Yeah.
We get back to the wedding reception, and Pete's throwing ice cubes at the dance floor.
Yeah.
And Tommy's like approaches him. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Cut that out. Come on, we're gonna go get cigarettes.
Yeah. So Tommy and his friend Donnie and now Pete are in the car heading to get cigarettes, and Donnie's just like, are you sure you want to be married? Like, are you sure this is what's right for you?
And Tommy's just like, I married the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. This is great, man. It's great. I love everything about it. It's gonna be a great time.
He's like, I'm having trouble like processing everything.
You know, it's a big thing. And Donnie's just like, look, man, you just gotta be careful. You don't want to get divorced, and you don't want to sleep on a futon.
And Pete's like, chimes in. He's like,
what's a futon?
And Uncle Tommy turns around. He's like, everything we say in this car doesn't leave this car.
Remember, do as I say, not as I do.
I'm sorry I keep doing like an accent.
Yeah.
But like every character in this show.
Yeah, no, I am
has that New Yorker accent. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm not trying to, but like, when I'm thinking about how they're talking,
I'm
like,
aware.
It's infecting my brain.
So then Tommy's like, Pete, do you know I won the Sexiest Man of the Year in 1992? I beat out Paul Montello and Kyle Hennessy. I still got the trophy at home. It's in the garage. And all the while, Donnie's just like nodding along like, yeah, no, it's true. I've seen the trophy.
So they pull up to the convenience store. Uncle Tommy gets out, and Donnie's like stuck in a car with a kid. He's like, he doesn't know how to like relate to a kid. He's like, so who's your favorite comedian? And Donnie and Pete's like, what? And Donnie's like, have you seen... It's like it's a rated R movie that he asked about. He's like, have you seen...
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Was it Shivers?
Maybe.
No, I don't know.
And Pete's like, no. And he's like, oh, you gotta see it.
It's a great movie. It's a masterpiece.
And then...
Tommy comes back out.
And the car turns on, and
Creed.
peak 2000s rock music starts.
It's Creed. It's the band Creed.
Can you take me higher? Yeah.
And Tommy's just like, fuck yeah, this song's amazing.
You know,
People try to tell you this band is bad. They're the greatest band ever.
Well, he's like,
Pete.
people try to tell you like that this song is religious and has religious connotations.
But it's not.
No, it's
also,
not.
Before Tommy came back in, we see Donnie also take a bump in the car.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And so as they're talking, Tommy starts singing along with it, and he turns to the back, he's like, Pete, sing along! And he like yells it at him.
Yeah, he's like, sing along, Pete. And Pete's like, I don't know the words.
And then Tommy just absolutely not paying attention to the child in the backseat because he's high off his ass on cocaine, like his friend next to him.
And assumedly also drunk because he just got married.
He's just singing along to Creed on the way back. And Pete seems to be having fun with it. Like, he's smiling, having a good time.
And so they get back to the wedding, and Pete asked Tommy, he's like, hey, can they play Cotton Eye Joe?
But they were like, yeah, go ask the DJ. Let him know. You're the DJ now.
So Pete walks up and he's like, ask the DJ. Well, he doesn't say you're the DJ now yet.
Yeah.
He approaches the DJ and he's like, hey, can you play Cotton Eye Joe? And the DJ kind of nods.
Mm-hmm.
And so Pete walks away.
Then we see him sit down in a corner, and time just starts to pass. We see Grandpa Joe, his wife Marie, and Pete's mom Amy just sitting around talking.
Yeah, and like Amy is talking about how her and Scott's relationship was, and like
it was like getting better. They were talking about making another try of it,
having another kid, and then like eventually it turns to like how her mom never liked Scott, and
how both her mom and dad didn't like Scott because they're just like, look, it sucks that he died, like it's a really bad thing, but we're here for you, you know. And she's like,
no, like specifically it's about how her mom didn't like Scott because
Joe
clarifies like it's not that I didn't like Scott. Scott was a great guy,
I just didn't think he was right for you, but you know he was a hero. Like I'm not gonna say he's not. But he was a good guy. He was a hero. I just didn't think he was right for you.
But like Marie, Amy's mom, barely like says anything to the positive, and like Amy's like, and I know it must have been hard on you, Mom, because it happened on your birthday.
Yeah.
And
as they're talking, they continue on, and Amy's just like, I just don't know how I'm going to be a single parent. I don't think I can do it. And Joe's just like, you're the strongest woman I know. You're my daughter. You've got this. And we're here to help you if you ever need it.
And so, sometime after this, Tommy walks up to Pete. He's like, didn't you ask the DJ to play Cotton Eye Joe?
That was like an hour ago, wasn't it?
And Pete nods. He's like, okay.
Let's go. He grabs Pete's hand and they start walking towards the DJ.
So he walks up to the DJ and he's like, didn't he ask you to play Cotton Eye Joe? And the DJ's like, well, yeah, I got my own set list though. And Tommy goes, you're playing Cotton Eye Joe.
He rips the headphones off the guy and he goes, he's the DJ now. Play Cotton Eye Joe.
And so
they all start dancing on the floor, doing the line dance to Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah.
And as they're doing that, we see Tommy just glaring at the DJ over the heads of other people because Bobby Cannavale is a tall motherfucker
and an intimidating motherfucker. Yeah. I would not cross a man that looks like Bobby Cannavale.
No, God, no.
Because I would assume that he has mob connections. I know that is like a little bit racist probably to Italian Americans, but he looks like he has mob connections based on every film I've ever seen.
Yeah, because he's the guy in every film you've ever seen.
Fair enough.
So then after that, we see Pete getting a giant slice of wedding cake from his grandma, Marie.
And so he's sitting next to Marie and there's nobody else around. Mm-hmm. And Marie's like, I'm going to miss your father so much. And Pete goes, no, you're not.
You didn't like him. And he died on your birthday.
I know what you did.
And she's like, what? And he's like, he died on your birthday. And my birthday's coming up soon.
And you don't want to know what I'm going to wish for.
Yeah. And she just looks startled and off-put and / kind of scared.
And he picks up his cake and dish and walks off to another table.
Keeping eye contact with her the entire time off the camera while holding this giant piece of cake.
Sits down and continues to like give her like a death stare the entire time he eats this cake.
She does a whole little speech for her daughter because, you know, mother of the bride stuff. And the entire time as she's giving this speech, we see her look at Pete and he's just staring her dead in the eye and she again looks nervous and it's just great. And then we cut back to the present.
Yeah, Pete notices that Tommy has, like, lost some of that spark that made Tommy Tommy.
Yeah, so as they're exiting down here, Tommy's like, holy fuck, is that yours?
And it's a big...
Well, we don't see it yet.
Yeah,
and Pete's like, yeah, you want to drive it? And he's like, hell yeah. I didn't take you for a MAGA type of guy, a Trump guy. They both start laughing. It's a giant...
it's a yee-yee truck.
I was about to say what is colloquially referred to as a yee-yee truck.
Which is just a truck so... Like, it's a truck so big that it should be illegal because it's literally impossible to see people that are, like, shorter than 5.5 feet tall.
Yeah, 4.5 feet tall. It's just made to kill children, basically.
Yeah, children and short adults.
Mm-hmm.
And, like...
It has a giant blind spot in the front of it. It's larger than anyone needs.
And they only got that big and exist that big because truck manufacturers were taking advantage of a loophole in the tax codes.
Mm-hmm. And people's
look it up.
envy.
I'm not making shit up.
Yeah.
Look it up. Trucks only have gotten as big as they have because truck companies realized that they could pay lower tax rates on the vehicles they produced if they met a certain weight class.
Because it starts to count as a more of a commercial size rather than personal use sizes,
And
which
so,
has a higher tax break for them.
There was an entire marketing push to convince people that they needed these big-ass motherfucking trucks.
It's why they made it so important that you knew what the towing capacity and the carrying capacity of your truck was, because then your truck is being used for a business purpose rather than a private personal use, which means that it serves a better use to the economy, which means they can sell it with better tax breaks on themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not making shit up. Go look this up.
It's fucked up.
But yeah, it's a big old yee truck.
And Tommy's just speeding through the fucking streets.
Yeah.
Stop signs, red lights. And Pete is just like holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
And as he's doing that, Tommy's just like, sometimes existing doesn't seem that great.
And he's like, sometimes I just, in a truck like this, kind of just want to take it off the bridge, see how far we can go, how many times we skip before we go in the water. And a truck like this, it's a tank. You're going to survive hitting the water. You'll be able to get out.
Yeah. And Pete's just looking terrified. And he's holding on even tighter. And then Tommy looks over at him. He's like, take your seatbelt off. And Pete's like, wait, what? Take your seatbelt off. Uncle Tommy takes his off. And then Pete's just like, okay, and takes his seatbelt off. They tear through a red light and they're just driving. And then they stop in front of Tommy's place. And Tommy's just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And Pete's just like, I don't either. I've never known what the fuck I'm doing. I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
You just kind of do stuff.
And during part of this conversation, I think it was the seatbelt part, Tommy's like, look, I know you think about killing yourself. Take your seatbelt off.
Yeah.
So that leads to the end of this conversation where Pete's like, look, do as I say, man, not as I do.
Yeah, but an important part from that conversation, it was basically just do whatever feels right at the time. Mm-hmm. You may not know what you're doing, but as long as you have an idea of what to do now or whatever you're doing now makes you happy, just do it. Because as they're getting out, I assume it's the reason for this line, Tommy just goes, okay, I'm gonna go piss on my house.
Yeah.
And he just steps up to the brick wall around his house and just pisses on it as Pete drives away.
Yep, and we cut back to the past and Pete
dances.
The song comes on, the DJ was like, I need all the family up here to make this dance really special. If you would have got on the floor and bust a move, and Pete gets up and he's been sneaking alcohol this entire time, and his mom scolded him for it earlier.
He took a drink during his grandmother's toast. His mother allowed it. She's like, it's fine, just take a fucking sip.
Yeah,
because he was being a kid and be like, I got alcohol, and she's like, I don't
take
give a fuck.
Sip.
Take a sip. It's fine.
I don't think you're gonna like it. And he takes a sip. He's like, I already feel buzzed.
He's like, but as she caught him sneaking drinks earlier, she's like, I mean, I guess your dad would be proud to know you're drinking at your first wedding. Mm-hmm. Just try to fucking be subtle about it.
And so a drunk 8-year-old Pete got this unerring swagger and confidence, walks out on the dance floor and becomes the center of attention and busts a move that
yeah, everyone's cheering him. We're doing that whole classic thing of it's obviously not Pete. We are the perspective. There's a camera sitting in a circle, spinning around as we see people, and then we have the opposite view where it's Pete and the camera spinning around him.
And then we go from this to actual photos of the wedding and a child Pete, and this episode very, very sad. It's got a lot of melancholy and sadness, and it's still funny. Mm-hmm. But the tone is a lot sadder than the first episode.
And we learned at a point that Uncle Tommy's making weapons in his garage now. He just picked up making weapons as a hobby. I only mention it because this final picture looks like 3 Wu-Tang symbols that are either supposed to be, I assume, either the shittiest fucking batarangs or possibly, arguably, usable Wu-Tang shaped axe heads.
Yeah. So that's the end of episode 2. Do as I say, not as I do. Justice? Bupkis, episode 2. What you think?
I got Bupkis to say about this in a negative way at all. It's a fun show. I honestly don't think it's for everyone because, like I said, it is crass humor, and this one does get a bit sad/dark. Mm-hmm. But I can't actually think of any real negatives to the show.
Well, I think when you're looking at a show Pete Davidson is writing, and Pete Davidson is diagnosed BPD, he has bipolar disorder, and the show doesn't come out and say that at any point. I'm gonna spoil it. After we watched these 2 episodes, I went and binged a bunch more of the show. The show doesn't come out and say, oh, Pete has BPD, but it really deals with bipolar disorder,
swinging tones of episodes back and forth.
Yeah, swinging tones of episodes, him swinging, going from super manic and super excited to do stuff to just sitting on the couch not wanting to do anything.
Yeah.
It really does keep a focus on BPD, even though it doesn't mention it by name.
Nice.
And that's part of the tone of the show, and I could see it giving a viewer kind of tonal or even emotional whiplash.
I could see it, yeah.
But in the same sense, people dealing with BPD experience that type of stuff every day.
Yeah, I don't think that's a negative on the show.
No, 100%.
Especially if you feel like it's something the show's trying to do on purpose, then it's definitely not a negative. It is a positive representation of what they're trying to do.
I was just saying, like, that could be why it could turn people off.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, it's a very good representation.
Yeah, definitely. I think Bupkis is worth a good watch because it's good, and I plan on watching more.
Mm-hmm. You were just talking about how it was a turn off. It could be turned off for some people.
On that note, though, if you do want to watch Bupkis, it is only on Peacock at the moment.
Yes.
So there's that. Ugh.
Peacock, but Peacock does have a free trial sign up. So if you just wanted to watch Bupkis, or like you wanted to watch a WrestleMania or something in the past, like I'm not pushing WWE. Like there's so much stuff on Peacock. The Office, if you're a fan of bad comedy shows. But if you're a fan of good comedy shows, Bupkis is on there. So it's definitely got a wide variety of things to look at. I think it also has... I don't remember the name of the show. I was watching it a while back. Doesn't matter. But it's got a bunch of stuff. So just make a free trial, watch some stuff, see if you like it.
You can watch all of Bupkis' first season.
8 episodes,
it's not too hard.
24 minutes each, plus commercials.
Yeah.
There might be a Peacock tier where you don't have to watch commercials.
I have no idea. I don't pay them money.
Neither do I.
It just came with my internet subscription.
Yeah, it came with our Comcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you like the show?
Yeah, I do.
Me too. I really enjoyed Bupkis. I really like Pete Davidson. Like you said, the cast in the show is so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, there's not a single casting choice in here that I would change. Like, even when we just get some of the worrying well-wishers for Amy, I recognize some of them because they've been in enough shit, and I'm just like, I don't have a problem even with the background characters. I'm like, everyone's enjoyable and good.
There's an episode that has Ray Romano in it.
He plays Ray Romano. He plays himself. Yeah.
Like, he's in a drugged out delusion that Pete has, and it's so good. Like, I promise you, when you get to that episode, it's the show is so good.
Yeah.
The show is great.
I think that's all we really have to say. So, if you want to reach out to us and let us know your opinion on Pete Davidson, if you hate him for no good reason, or if you are like the one person in existence who actually knows the guy and hates him for an actual reason, sure. Actually, I assume there's probably other people who actually know him and may dislike him.
I assume that I assume like anybody, there are legitimate reasons to dislike him.
Yeah, but like if you have legitimate reasons to like him, you could let us know. If you think he's the greatest fucking person ever, you could let us know. I don't give a fuck. Whatever you want to tell us, you can do so by emailing us at copilotsreview@gmail.com,
or hitting us up on Twitter or Hive at copilotsreview.
Yeah, and you can find links to both our Twitter and our email by going to copilotsreview.simplecast.com,
which also has links to our iTunes, Spotify, every podcast catcher essentially, as well as YouTube, Discord, Patreon, all the normal things.
Yeah. Anyways, though, thank you for flying with us, and please fly again soon.